Excellent guy. Yeah, Don McGahn's a really good guy. I knew he was going also, as you know. I had to approve it.
Any concern about what he said to the Mueller team?
No, none of it.
That was President Trump saying that White House counsel Don McGahn, who is leaving shortly after the confirmation of Judge Brett Kavanaugh to the Supreme Court. He made that announcement today. That move, he says it was widely expected, but it was a bit of a surprise when it happened this morning. It is fueling speculation about his role in the Russia probe, specifically his extensive cooperation with the Mueller team earlier this month. That was the president was referring to in there, saying that he knew about it and that he sanctioned it, said it was okay. So here now, Ohio Congressman Jim Jordan, member of the House Judiciary and Oversight Committees, who also spoke with Bruce Ohr yesterday. So you've been a busy man. Good to see you this evening, Congressman. Chuck Grassley was very concerned about the White House losing Don McGahn. He said, I hope it's not true McGahn is leaving White House counsel. You can't let that happen at real Donald Trump, he included in there. What do you say about that?
I think Don McGahn's a darn good lawyer. I think he served the president well, but if he wants to leave, and the White House is fine with that, and the president's okay with that, then that's a White House decision. I think the president's got a good legal team around him, Mr. Giuliani, Mr. Flood, and a host of other folks who are helping him out. And I think what we do know is Mueller's investigation now, 15, 16 months, not one bit of evidence, not one bit of evidence that there's been any type of coordination between the Trump campaign and Russia to influence the election. All right,
but you haven't seen the report yet, so you don't really know what Robert Mueller has yet.
We don't know, but come on. I mean, everything we've heard, there hasn't been, but we've learned all kinds of things about what the FBI did wrong, and we learned some more of that yesterday when we deposed Mr. Ohr.
Yeah, so you spoke to Bruce Ohr yesterday. The president said this about him in a tweet: how the hell is Bruce Ohr still employed at the Justice Department? Disgraceful and witch hunt. Rachel Maddow last night was very concerned about the Department of Justice potentially losing Bruce Ohr, and you guys grilling him yesterday behind closed doors. Here's what she said.
I don't know exactly what these targeted attacks by the White House and congressional Republicans will ultimately do to the capabilities of the Justice Department and the FBI when it comes to fighting things like Russian intelligence operations in the United States and Russian organized crime and Russian money laundering through American real estate.
So Bruce Ohr was key to all that, and she's very worried that our national security will be in peril if you guys bully him and he ends up losing a job.
What we should be worried about is Bruce Ohr, senior official at the Justice Department's wife, was working for the firm hired by the Clintons to put together the dossier. And we know the dossier was the key to all of this. And Bruce Ohr, Peter Strzok told us in the hearing 5 weeks ago, Martha, Bruce Ohr is the guy who funneled parts of the dossier to the FBI. His wife's working for the Oppo research firm Fusion GPS, who's been hired by the Clinton campaign. And we know the dossier was taken to the court. And I'll tell you what we got confirmed yesterday. When they went to the court, the FBI knew three important things, and they didn't disclose this to the court. They knew the Ohr's involvement in production of the dossier. They knew that Christopher Steele had this extreme bias against the president, and they knew who paid for the dossier, and they didn't disclose those key facts to the court when they went there to get the warrant to spy on Carter Page and the Trump campaign.
That's pretty remarkable. It is remarkable. When someone who works at the Department of Justice is bringing information, and I heard, basically giving the thumb drive, handing over stuff straight from Fusion GPS over to the FBI and saying, here's what we got. And he also admitted in this testimony yesterday, that he felt that Steele was biased. So they all know that on that side of the equation. But then when they apply for the FISA warrant, they don't mention that. They don't include that part of, at least, you would say all, but a good majority of what they're basing the FISA warrant on is not, it hasn't been disclosed that the person who told them is very biased.
Yeah, you and I go to court, Martha. We got to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth. The FBI should have to do the same darn thing, particularly when they're getting a warrant to spy on a fellow American citizen, and they're doing so, I believe, to spy on the Trump campaign. That is as fundamentally wrong as it gets. Here's the other key thing that came out yesterday. You think about this. Why did Glenn Simpson and Christopher Steele pick Bruce Ohr in the first place? Why'd they select his wife to come work for Fusion? They had a direct access. Chris Steele had direct access to the FBI. He was handing them parts of the dossier. Why did they also want to run it through Bruce Ohr at the Justice Department?
Good question.
It seems to me to create weight and credibility behind a document that was completely false. If you can now go tell the press and tell other people, oh, a senior Department of Justice official is also talking about the dossier and also passing it on to the FBI, it gives it weight when in fact it was completely a uncredible, unverified document and a bunch of garbage.
Yeah. Understood. So the ranking members of your committee, Mr. Nadler and Mr. Cummings, put out a late statement today. They say we can understand why Republicans are increasingly desperate to create a distraction and undermine the Department of Justice as a hedge against what the investigators might find. Your thoughts, and then I have one more question for you before I let you go.
Desperate. Rachel Maddow and Mr. Cummings, Mr. Nadler need to look at the facts. Comey was fired. Andy McCabe lied 3 times under oath, faces a criminal referral, fired. Jim Baker, former chief counsel, demoted and then left. Lisa Page, FBI counsel, demoted, then left. Peter Strzok, deputy head of counterintelligence, demoted, then left. Sally Yates, fired. Bruce Orr, demoted twice. These are the key people who ran these investigations. Tell me any other time you've seen a federal agency where that has taken place with the key people at the top who ran the Clinton investigation and who started and ran the Russian investigation. That's the biggest problem. And what we're trying to do is get the answers and the facts so that you can report them to the American people and the American people can fully understand just how bad it was at the top of the Justice Department when this happened.
All right. Let me ask you one more thing. You mentioned Sally Yates. We get a lot of questions about her potential role. Bruce Orr worked for her. We know that she signed one of those FISA requests. Did she come up yesterday, and did you learn any more about how they may be connected in any of this?
Well, we're not supposed to. Yeah, we're not supposed to get into the specifics about it. I will tell you this: Bruce Orr did talk to key people in the Justice Department, particularly on the FBI side. People's names you've talked about, people's names who've been out there, and that was a revelation. And he talked to them early in this process. They were fully informed early on what was happening with this dossier.
All right. We'll see where it goes from here. Congressman Jordan, thank you. Good to see you tonight.
You bet. Thank you.